over the course of months, we've been talking about different ways that you can stay in front of your audience, your market, and share with them things that can potentially impact or bring more people in. And one of those areas we want to make sure we don't neglect is within the school district themselves. We have several school districts that support our community. We have Fort Bend, we have Lamar Consolidated, and just a little bit of Katy for those who expand out to the west. And so a large portion, though, is within Fort Bend. And so we have with us today the superintendent of Fort Bend, who has taken out time out of her schedule to come share some new things that are coming up here in Fort Bend, and then I guess petition some other things that will impact the presence and the quality of our schools. And so I guess I'll just, yeah. Okay, come on. You can introduce.
We also have our board president.
Oh, yay.
Malone, president of the board of trustees.
Yeah. So while they're making their way up here, have you guys seen the email? I really appreciate the efforts that Fort Bend has been making to connect with realtors to make sure that they are informed with other things that's going on. So did y'all see the emails that came out about the bus tour, the upcoming bus tour? Did y'all see that? Where they're taking you to some of the new schools, introducing you to the principals of those schools and telling you a little bit of the focus of those schools as well. So that's part of the effort of this team that's coming up here.
And this is Beth Martinez. She's a Fort Bend product. Went to Town West and Lakeview. I'm sorry. And she's our deputy superintendent. Come on, Kristen.
Okay. All right, and I'm Kristen Malone, and I also am a product of Fort Bend ISD from elementary all the way through high school. And actually, Mr. C.W. Ross, I was hearing about the marathon, and speaking of that, my best friend from kindergarten, Tiffany McPherson, used to work for you, and you turned her into a mega real estate agent up in the Woodlands area. So your mentorship there, and now that's what we're doing with kiddos in Fort Bend ISD, is giving them those skills to equip them so that they too can have the success like many of you.
And I'm Dr. Christy Woodbeck, superintendent. So we're going to start off with a video because it's very self-explanatory, and a lot of times YouTube and videos capture a lot, and then we're going to be available to answer questions, anything that's on your mind. This is a very important bond for the district. It involves a lot. So I think the video is the best way. You can also see the pictures of exactly what we're looking to improve in our district.
Fort Bend ISD is the 6th largest school district in Texas. And for the first time in its history, enrollment this year has exceeded 80,000 students. 84% of the district schools earned A and B ratings from the TEA. The district is at or above the state and Region 4 in all tested subjects and grades. Fort Bend ISD has 75 National Merit semifinalists, more than any other school district in the region. FBISD students are state champions in athletics, fine arts, and academics. The Dulles High School Academic Decathlon team has claimed the state title 7 years in a row. They are ranked number 2 in the nation. With more than 12,000 employees, Fort Bend ISD is the largest employer in Fort Bend County. The district has 100 buildings and facilities, including 51 elementary schools, 15 middle schools, 11 high schools, and 5 specialty schools across 170 square miles. Fort Bend ISD currently maintains 13 million square feet of building space every day. Some of its 82 campuses are rated in critical condition due to outdated systems and structures that are past their useful life. The average age of Fort Bend ISD schools is 28 years old. The district has not held a bond election in 5 years. On February 16, 2023, Fort Bend ISD's Board of Trustees voted unanimously to call a $1.26 billion bond election for May 6th. Over 90% of the dollar value of the 2023 bond program is dedicated to addressing aging facilities, infrastructure, and growth. This bond is the continuation of a district-wide master plan to transform our facilities to provide safe and modern learning spaces and tools for teaching and learning. Every campus will be impacted by this bond election. Let's take a look at the bond's 3 propositions in A, B, C order. Proposition A is for approximately $1.18 billion. Half of that amount, $591 million will be used to address aging schools and facilities. Nearly half of the district's schools are more than 30 years old. Proposition A would allow for capital repairs and upgrades to HVAC systems, roofing, electrical, and plumbing, to windows and lighting to keep schools safe and more energy efficient. These projects are intended to bring older schools up to the same standards as newer schools, making them more comparable for all students across the district. Proposition A also includes approximately $223 million to rebuild Clements High School at its current site. The school building is 40 years old, and although safe for occupancy, the building has major structural issues and a sinking foundation. There are visible cracks in the floors, walls, sidewalks, and in the plumbing. Electrical systems are outdated. The new campus will be energy efficient and highlight sustainability with mechanical systems throughout the building. Educational spaces, including science labs and band and orchestra halls, will be designed to current standards. Fort Bend ISD's Master Facilities Plan has identified 4 elementary schools that are past their useful life. The average age of the 4 school buildings is 45 years old. Proposition A includes an estimated $94 million to rebuild 2 of them. Briargate Elementary will be rebuilt and Blue Ridge Elementary will merge with it. Mission Bend will be rebuilt and Mission Glen Elementary will merge with it. The new schools will have 1,000 student capacity with art rooms, music rooms, gymnasiums, libraries, open concept interiors with natural light and collaboration areas, new technology and safe, fenced-in play areas. The new campuses will be designed with community input and feedback and will blend with the residential surroundings, providing a safe pathway for students to walk, bike, or ride the bus to school. To accommodate growth, Prop A includes approximately $82 million to construct a new middle school in the 521 corridor, about $18 million to renovate Ferndale Henry and repurpose it for use as a Southeast elementary school, and approximately $46 million for a new elementary school to address growth in the Harvest Green area. Fort Bend ISD transports 35,000 students each day across 26,000 miles. That's greater than the circumference of the Earth. The growth in the far southeast portion of the district requires additional buses, and almost half the district's fleet is more than 10 years old. The bond would allow for the purchase of up to 35 new buses with safety features, like seat belts in every seat and air conditioning. The district's last transportation center was built 25 years ago, when Fort Bend ISD's enrollment was only 49,000. Today, it's more than 80,000 students, and is projected to increase. More kids means more buses. More buses means more bus maintenance time and space. A new transportation facility in the southeast region will provide additional work bays for mechanics, and locating it in that area will result in fewer miles traveled to provide bus service. Prop A includes approximately $28 million for new buses and the new transportation center. The proposition also provides an estimated $30 million for safety items like additional campus security cameras and floor-mounted door locks, replacement doors and hardware, new intercom systems to ensure proper emergency communications, replacing fire alarms and aging police vehicles, plus adding standardized weapons and response kits for officers. And one more item in Prop A. Fort Bend ISD's IT network supports more than 90,000 students and staff members in 100 buildings daily. The current industry lifecycle for networks is 5 to 7 years. The district's IT network is 8 years old and has become outdated. Proposition A of the bond allocates approximately $67 million for technology infrastructure, including updates to the district's network. This includes refreshing more than 8,000 Wi-Fi access points, enhancing campus networks, and increasing the bandwidth district-wide. Proposition B. The industry life cycle for desktop computers is 4 or 5 years, and it's even shorter for laptops. Many of the computers purchased with the funds from the 2018 bond are approaching the end of their life cycles. Proposition B includes an estimated $52 million to refresh the supply of student and staff computers. State law requires that computer devices be listed separately on the ballot from technology infrastructure items. Proposition C. Fort Bend ISD currently has 1 natatorium and 1 practice facility to serve all students across the district. There is no facility in the southeast region. Students in that area spend a significant amount of time and mileage traveling to the existing swim centers. Proposition C of the bond includes approximately $23 million to build a natatorium in the southeast region, providing comparable access to an indoor swim center in the area for competition swimming and diving. A successful bond election authorizes the district to pay for construction and capital renovation costs. Bond funds generally cannot be used for salaries, utilities, or other daily expenses. Fort Bend ISD's tax rate is $1.13, the lowest it has been in 16 years. It is also one of the lowest in the region compared to most other local school districts. Fort Bend ISD has earned AA+ bond ratings from Standard & Poor's and Fitch, two of the nation's top rating agencies. Over the last 8 years, the district has efficiently managed its bond funds, saving more than $108 million by refinancing debt. Due to inflation, the district estimates that a one-year delay in commencing the bond projects would result in approximately $100 million in additional costs. Approval of the bond would result in an estimated impact of $2.50 per month for the average home valued at $300,000. Homeowners 65 and over or disabled who apply for and receive an exemption will not have an increase over the frozen dollar amount. Take a look at your ballot when you vote. Since 2019, Texas laws required all school district bond propositions to include "This is a property tax increase." Due to this requirement, all voters will see the statement on the official ballot, even those whose property taxes are frozen and will not exceed the tax ceiling. Election Day for Fort Bend ISD is Saturday, May 6, 2023. Early voting is April 24th through May 2nd. Registered voters can cast their ballots at any early voting location in the county. A list of early voting sites may be found at fortbendisd.com/2023bond. Visit votetexas.gov by Thursday, April 6th to register to vote in this election. To learn more about the bond, connect with the district, online and on social media. And remember to vote. Fort Bend ISD is the 6th largest. Fort Bend ISD.
By the way, we passed Austin and Fort Worth. We used to be the 8th largest. And so that's been within the last like 9 months that we've passed those districts up. So, and our 80,000th child arrived from Brooklyn, New York. So I don't know who sold them their house, but they're zoned to Garcia and Austin High, and they're family in from New York. A little bit of trivia. Everywhere. Yeah.
And with the 80,000, it wasn't the case just 2 years ago. We actually were having a rapid decline in enrollment. And within the last year, there's been swift changes. And I want to attribute some of that to Dr. Whitbeck and her leadership, because I think that's given a lot of folks the confidence in our school district. And we hear it and we see it as they continue to re-enroll their children in our district or move here and enroll for schools.
So you saw the presentation. The main takeaways, we'll answer your questions. We all can answer different ones, kind of tag teaming it. But I think the main takeaways is that, as a reminder, you probably remember there was a bond in 2018. It was part of a 2-phase process. The second phase was to occur in 2021. Well, we all know what happened in 2020. And so that got pushed down the road. Well, then all of those roofs that were close to needing replacement, chillers, HVACs, all of the repairs got pushed as well, as did us handling any of the other projects. So we're at 5 years. So it is a critical bond election for us, and a lot in it. So please let us know how we can answer your questions. Yes, ma'am.
I know I can go online, but you normally go vote wherever you would go vote anyway, like the regular polling places.
We've also added spots and we've extended hours. This bond election is on the ballot with 3 board members. We have 3 board members up for re-election, all have opponents. That's on there, as well as this bond. That's it. There's nothing else from the county or the state or the city. So that is all that you will see. But there's a whole lot of different options, and extended hours like till 7. I think we've got some Saturdays extended, maybe even some Sundays,
Yes,
I believe.
some Sundays.
So we try, I think as we were kind of our own entity, we got to make our own decisions on that. So we tried to just really reach out to encourage people to vote.
And please vote.
Yeah.
Please
matter
vote. Please share with your communities and your networks. We know real estate agents have large networks. Please share with your networks and vote. And I can say this, y'all can't. And please support Fort Bend ISD. in this bond.
You
We
need-
need it.
As as employees, we can inform and answer your questions, but we can't advocate like board president or community members can advocate for the support of. Thank you.
Oh, I was just gonna say that early voting is from 7 AM to 7 PM. And
Yes.
our closest location is the Reese building right there, and it's from April 24th to May 2nd. Maybe we can plan a trip where all go together. Maybe on the first day, we can have donuts in the morning.
The item. I understand he's a foodie, it just may not be morning anymore.
But I think everyone, we need this bond. And so it will be, if you're not gonna go vote for anything else that day, go vote for the bond. Okay? If you have any questions, you can always ask me.
Thank you, Spot.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, hi, thank you very much for coming in today. I think this is very important, because as agents, we need to be able to direct, and I personally appreciate it because I have a lot of relocation clients. So I have a question for you. Recently, one of my clients who relocated and they purchased in Siena, but immediately they thought their children were going to be able to go to the schools there, the high school, but they were not. And they weren't informed of this until like literally the same week they registered. So is there a way that we could find, so I know with everyone coming in to different communities, is there a way that we can find out if the children are actually going to be assigned to their area or they're going to have to be bussed out in advance?
I'll let the boundary queen answer that.
Yes, there is. And if you will give me somebody's contact, and I have somebody, I was emailing you before the meeting. I'll email you the link to a web page where you can go in and put an address in the system, especially right now with our new boundaries. It's not our typical, every year you put, a parent moves in at the beginning of the year and finds out their bus stop and that sort of thing. This is one that we put up after the boundaries were approved, the recent boundaries, so that you can go in and until the next year when that link becomes live for our bus stops and school zoning, you can go in and say, okay, what does this look like? What's the address? I think that would be helpful for everyone. And in the Siena area specifically with Crawford High School and Ridgepoint High School, we are still in cap and overflow with some students from Ridgepoint and some that could be zoned to Crawford as well, who moved in before Crawford is opening clearly, and as Ridgepoint was in cap and overflow because of the numbers. Now Crawford High School is opening with 9th and 10th graders. So those 11th and 12th graders who may be in cap and overflow at Hightower High School, we're looking at the final numbers that are settling now with some requests that we had in place for students across the district who are involved in boundary changes to determine whether or not there will be space at Ridgepoint. This is like the Sonic drink combination, like the possibilities are multiple. That if we have Crawford students who are in cap and overflow at Hightower, we're reviewing to determine if there would be space at Ridgepoint for them to request to go to Ridgepoint or to stay at Hightower. So that's one unique situation that may be a little bit different and a decision forthcoming in this week or early next week, very soon. But I would encourage you to share, especially my contact information, if you have any specific boundary questions in that area of the district, or really truly anywhere, because we can point you to the accurate information.
So we
Yes,
will
ma'am.
get not only this video, but the link, when she sends it to me, we'll get that in our KWSW 25 in the resources portion. And then any other documentation, like their contact number as well. So you guys will just be able to, the video will be available now. And then when she gives me the contact information, we'll have it to you guys within 24 hours. Is Crawford opening this coming school year?
Yes.
With 9th and 10th graders.
And it is absolutely magnificent. It is beautiful campus with state-of-the-art
We should be able
facilities.
to sell some houses.
Okay, we have another one?
Yeah, the question is, most will vote for and some vote against it, right? So most of the time, if not likely, if they vote against it, will they go through or not? That means they will get, the bond will not go through, right?
Correct. Yes, so people have an option to vote for or against. And if they vote for, then all of the things that you've seen will happen. If they vote against, then we are now past our 5 years. We will end up having to, there's 2 pots of money. The bond covers facilities, capital items that last longer than 5 years. Our general fund is where we pay our teachers, our bus drivers, our employees, and also our utilities and our books and our materials. So what will happen is if we don't pass this bond, and let's say one of the HVAC systems fails in one of our schools, we cannot leave the children and the staff without air conditioning. So we would have to dip into the general money and pay for that until we can bring a bond again forward to the community, which will hurt us on being able to address our teacher salaries, our bus driver salaries, and everything else. So it is a vote no has a tremendous amount of consequence, not just staying in an older building or not just not getting certain things, but it does have a consequence. One of the biggest things we're worried about is the technology. Our network is 7 years old. If you're an IT person, you know that's getting near an end of life. And so this bond covers that to be upgraded. And, you know, think about suddenly working without technology. Our teachers use it constantly. Our children use it constantly. So we would be, again, dipping into our general fund in the terms of millions and millions of dollars that we really don't have. I do also want to share one other thing, just to give you some confidence at the work that we're doing behind the scenes. In the last 18 months, we have cut almost $40 million out of the general fund, which is the operating. 16 million last summer for the budget we're in, and currently we're at about 23 million for the budget that the board will hopefully adopt in June. So we continue to try to get lean, because we want to be as fiscally responsible as we can. Most of those cuts have come from the higher level positions, the central office type positions, or what I will call support roles that help support the teacher, but not the teacher as much themselves. But if, you know, we're going to continue to do that, just getting harder and harder. But we have maintained the ratios in the classrooms. We're not adding more kids into classrooms. We're not cutting major programs in fine arts, athletics, and career technology that children love. So far we're making those cuts without doing those things. So just be aware that behind the scenes, we're all committed to doing that as well.
I think I would add to, just to add to that, in the kind of a renewal sense and efficiencies. You all know the growth areas in this district, and you know the areas that are aging and not growing at the same rate. And we have some underutilized campuses as well. You saw that addressed not only in the age of the buildings in the Briargate, Blue Ridge area and Mission Bend, Mission Glen, but also in our numbers. There were about 4 criteria that we evaluated to determine where do we need to consolidate some schools for efficiencies and to hopefully be able to provide a renewed learning environment for students in that area. And we have that across the district with an eye on how can we best educate our students, better utilize our buildings, because we have this one hot area of continued growth, and we will for the next 5 years or so. But then we're built out by the end of the 10-year planning horizon in terms of new growth within Fort Bend ISD. And so when you think about those consolidations in the Mission Bend, Mission Glen, Briargate, Blue Ridge area, those students will consolidate together. And should the bond pass, then they will have a renewed learning environment that will be built for a larger number of students, where we can draw from the area and attract students in areas where we have students who are choosing to attend charter schools and schools outside of our area. So that's also, when you ask about the attendance zone question, that's a question that's going to, you might need clarity on in homes in those areas. Okay, during this 2-year period where we're either rebuilding or consolidating, where would those students go?
We definitely appreciate y'all's time. We want to make sure that you guys understand that we are a partner in this, in supporting, because we are serving as the resources for the people that we serve. And so the more you can educate yourself on this, the more that they can assist us, the better off we will be in the real estate experts in the Fort Bend, Southwest Houston area. Thank you guys so much. Any additional questions? We will get them to you as much as possible, just connecting with the information.
And good luck. Good luck to you.
Thank you.